Greetings, metaphysicians. This is episode 188, Astrological Repair. And I have to say, this is one of the most intriguing tools for me in the body of knowledge known as Angelic Reformation that we are working our way through in this season, sharing each of the tools. Astrological Repair is fascinating and does so much more than you would think. Listen in and enjoy the episode.
You're listening to Let's Get Metaphysical. This podcast explores the spiritual and metaphysical world through the experiences and opinions of the host and those interviewed. It should not necessarily be seen as direct endorsement or personal advice to our listeners. We encourage you to use your own discernment, judgment, and intuition regarding anything you learn from this show. The statements and advice offered in this podcast are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition, and are not substitutes for prudent medical care offered by licensed medical professionals. References to healing or treatments in this episode are describing faith-based blessings performed by God and the master healing angels. Neither this episode nor any part of it may be copied, transcribed, distorted, sold, republished, or distributed without first receiving the express written permission of both the CMA International Foundation and Up and Awaken Productions.
Let's get meta.
Welcome to the Let's Get Metaphysical podcast. I'm your host, Renata Maniaci. Here to remind you, you are still an eternal soul, currently having a temporary human experience here on lovely planet Earth. Enjoy it. Happy 2026, everyone. I hope that your year is off to a fantastic start. This is Season 8, Angelic Reformation, and this is Episode 188, Astrological Repair. This season is all about the body of knowledge known as Angelic Reformation. Angelic Reformation is what we call the tools, processes, and rapid spiritual development work that has been presented through the teacher, Master John Douglas, by his companions, the Master Angels. It is a set of spiritual development tools that anyone can choose to use alongside any existing spiritual practice, religion, or tradition towards the intentional, rapid evolution of your consciousness. Today, we are discussing the astrological repair process, or Astro Repair for short. And just to remind everyone, a process in this context is an MP3, kind of like an audio meditation. There are currently 15 processes in the array of tools that make up Angelic Reformation, ranging in length from 3 minutes to an hour. If you have not yet listened to the first 2 episodes for this season, please go ahead and listen to episode 168, Angelic Reformation, and episode 169, The Evolution of Consciousness. Before listening into this one, they will provide you needed context for what we are talking about. Now, if you are ready, then let's get meta. Master Angels, I humbly request your presence, guidance, and support through this episode. Please help these words to be useful to all listeners on their evolutionary journey. Let me know the truth, speak the truth, become the truth, and be the truth. And please let this episode reach whoever needs to hear it. Thank you with full faith. Bless creation. And today we are talking about the astrological repair process. This is a tool that mitigates negative astrological aspects and strengthens positive ones, both in our personal charts and in the astrology arising in the present moment. Now, astrological and celestial bodies influence us literally every moment and have since the beginning of time. The 2 most notable to us on this planet are the sun and the moon, both impacting us, again, all the time. What we don't often think about, or maybe it's just what I don't often think about, are the impacts of other astrological bodies on us. Planets, other stars, other moons, passing asteroids, comets, meteors, spacecraft, other known and unknown space phenomena. All these astrological items affect us here on this planet in a myriad of ways. Some are known to us, and most of them are not. Through Angelic Reformation, it is possible to discern just how much humans can and are affected and being affected by these astrological processes and occurrences. Here is the description of Astro Repair from the globalcma.org website, where this process can be purchased. Mitigating difficult planetary influences can make important differences in a person's life journey. They are often accompanied by processes in the soul, conscious, and subconscious mind to build faith, surrender, and love. The improvements can allow a person to take the most beneficial life path for their soul with graceful learning and development. I adore this process. There's something about it, but before I share my own experiences with it, let's hear from a few people who also enjoy the Astro Repair process.
Hello everyone, I'm Simon. I've been using Angelic Reformation tools since 2008, and I'd like to share my thoughts and feelings experienced with Astrological Repair. Once upon a time, a great Rishi taught the individual is cosmic, and the universe responds to individual action. One day in 2012, pressing play on the new Astrological Repair CD, the full meaning of this began to sink in for me. And in 2013, on the first elite course, we were blessed with a glimpse of our relationship to galaxies, strung like pearls through the unfathomable vastness of space. In Astrological Repair, John says, negative and difficult influences from all planetary bodies in all of the universe are being disempowered now. I listen to the process often, and now after about 15,000 playings of Astrological Repair, I'm still awestruck every time by the effect of these simple words on my mind and feelings of soul connection to every corner of creation and to every star and planet in the universe. I feel our hearts and minds are forever transformed by Astrological Repair as we continue our journeys to the stars and beyond and realize that we truly are cosmic.
Hello, I'm Karen. I live in Maryland, USA. I've been using Angelic Reformation tools since 2017, and I'd like to share an experience I've had with using the Astrological Repair process. So the past few times of listening to Astrological Repair, I have been captivated by the process of going deeper and deeper with faith on a feeling level. And at some point, the faith magically turns itself inside out to color my world in bright and warm colors and a blissful peace swirling inside.
Aloha, my name is Gabriella. I live on the island of Maui. I've been using Angelic Reformation tools since 2014, and I'd like to share about using one of my favorite tools, Astrological Repair. From the time I was young, I've always been really sensitive to energies and have had to learn ways to both protect my own energy fields and release disharmonies. Sometimes when certain planets are moving through my chart, we're in our solar system in a challenging way, or if the moon is stirring things up and there's a palpable chaos, I turn to Astrological Repair for help. While I do play this silently, along with some other repairs that can work in this way, an inner voice or whispers from my angelic team will kind of pop the idea in my head to sit down and play it out loud. The opening invocation is so potent, and for some reason, addressing the solar logos and logi, the planetary and galaxial orders, it stirs something so deep in me. I just really love communing with them in this way. Then, within moments, a feeling of peace consumes me as a profound mitigation is facilitated by the Master Angels. This audio guides me back into a state of being perfect love, and everything lower just falls away, and I am where I belong on my highest divine soul path. I also notice that I pay more attention to astrology in general, and notice being in harmony and working with the energies of the planets and numbers as well.
Hi, I'm Simone and I live in California. I've been using Angelic Reformation tools since about 2015, and I would like to share some experiences I had with Astrological Repair. It is one of my favorite processes, and it makes me feel lighter, calmer, more peaceful and loving. I listen to it especially on a full moon before I go to work at a hospital, since we see a lot more patients than usual and the energy is very unsettling. Astrological Repair smoothes over the rough patches on those days. Everything seems to soften and I'm more grounded in the chaos around me. I also notice that when I'm feeling off, restless, or irritated for no apparent reason, meteor showers or comets are often close by, and listening to Astrological Repair brings me back to a more balanced state. It is also a beautiful reminder for me to just be in all things, in every way, at all times, perfect love.
A big thank you to Simon, Karen, Gabriella, and Simone for sharing your experiences with the astrological repair process. Thank you so much. They said some really interesting things, and Astro was always a tool that I was excited and kind of unsure about how to present, not because it's not an amazing process, but because it's an interesting one. You know, compared to all of the processes are really interesting, but soul repair is working on your soul and subconscious repair is working on your subconscious mind. Whereas astrological repair, obviously helping us to repair the aspects of astrological phenomena like we've been talking about, but there's so much more in it. And what I thought was interesting about all these testimonials is 3 of the 4 of them actually quoted from the process itself. You wouldn't know that, but I know that. And so Simon, Gabriella, and Simone all quoted lines from astrological repair process. And there are some really, truly beautiful words in this process that I personally have never heard before or fathomed before. And Gabriella kind of touched on the solar logos, and Simon and Simone touched on a few other things. So I thought that that was really interesting that those just came out naturally from them wanting to share some of what that process actually sounds like. What was also interesting to me is that Karen talked about faith. It was the more short testimonial. And when I first heard it, when she sent it in to me, I didn't really remember that this process helps to build faith. We have another process called faith and sensory development that we are going to get to shortly. But then as I was preparing to record this episode, in reading the description of the Astro Repair on the website, it actually says that some of the processes in this repair process build faith, surrender, and love. I read that before. So it was kind of mind-blowing to me to hear Karen talk about faith when listening to this process, and then be reminded that it is actually something that's written about in the description of Astro Repair. So this is just observations coming from someone who's been listening to this process since 2016, but still discovering different things that it's helping with, and especially enjoying hearing how it is hitting other people. So thank you again to those folks who shared their experiences with this process. I use this process reliably once a week. I listen to it just after I listen to Subconscious Repair, which I also listen to once a week, as is suggested. But I also use it whenever I feel like I need it, especially during events like eclipses, full moons, any kind of astrological events that I feel like I might need support through. Sometimes those occurrences that I mentioned, eclipses, full moons, can be a little bit more chaotic. I also use Astro Repair when I feel that something is off and I just can't place it. I can't say how many times I've thought, okay, well, something's off. Let me listen to Spirit Repair. And something still feels off. I listen to Soul Repair. Something still feels off. Psychological Repair. But there's been so many times where it's just like, wait, let me listen to Astro. Because there are so many things that we've been mentioning that affect us astrologically from the cosmos that we don't realize. And so often, if I play Astrological Repair when something feels just can't quite place it, it's a little off, Astrological Repair will take care of that aspect, whatever it is. Even if I don't have a conscious understanding of what exactly it was something that Astro takes care of. So there are just innumerable things that I've learned about through this body of knowledge that does affect us, from space dust, different space illnesses. There are things floating around in the universe from other planets or spacecraft, their trash, their waste, that also affect us and can get us sick. I'm definitely not walking around day to day thinking about this type of stuff. Most people are probably walking around not even realizing that this is a thing and can affect us. Why would it? We never talk about it. We don't hear about it. And yet everything affects everything else. So Astrological Repair is really one of these tools that can get at aspects that you might not have a conscious idea is bothering you, but if you put this on and play it, you might feel a softening, a lightening, something lifting from you that you didn't even recognize was weighing you down some of the time. But what it was this unknown or unrecognized astrological effect of something that we've been talking about, or something that hasn't been mentioned yet, that this process takes care of. Not to mention all of the other effects that it has. As I said before, this process positively affects your faith. And Karen was getting at that, but it's also mentioned. And other than that, there's also surrender and love. The last line, or one of the last lines of this process, is one that Simone shared, just being perfect love. So Astro hits me on a deep level. It is kind of something you just have to listen to and experience. I feel as though it's one of the most beautiful processes to listen to, and it makes me feel just calm listening to it. So what else can I say about Astrological Repair? Yeah, for me, it's really just a process that I'll play if something is happening and I'm not sure what it is. For me, that's usually a sign, okay, this is something astrological. This isn't something necessarily earthly. And again, it does so much more than it says that it does. It does so much more. All of these processes have so much going on that is not spoken about because there's too much. It would take too long to explain. That's why some of these MP3s come with talks that Master John did specifically going into deeper aspects of those. What's great about this process is that it has one of those talks. So the Astrological Repair process costs $150, just like all of the other processes. It continually gets added to when Master John finds things that need to be applied to this process. It comes with access to Master John's talk called Hidden Depths of Astrological Repair Directed Prayer. And this is a talk that he has that just goes more into depth about what this process does. I highly recommend listening to it. There are also so many seemingly unrelated aspects that this process works on, like faith, as we mentioned before, and surrender and love and other things. But somehow this process, like all the others, really assists with so much more than it appears to. Because again, it would just take too much time to go into everything that it's doing. And not only that, some of these processes are sacred and aren't spoken about yet. So the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. You experience this and you feel what it does for you. And you notice how it shifts your day, your hour, your week. You notice how it shifts different aspects of you. Again, these transformations and blessings are brought about by listening to, in this case, this 13-minute process. In the talk that Master John gives about this process, he says that it's one that you listen to once a week. Now, you can listen to it as many times as you want, but listening to it once is supposed to cover you for that whole week, unless there's something else going on that you feel like you want to listen to Astro for, like an eclipse or something like that. Or like I said, just something feels off, let me just play Astrological Repair. But you are simply pressing play and listening to these processes. They are compact, time-bound spiritual technology given to us by the Master Angels through the teacher, Master John Douglas. And they're available to anyone. You're not physically doing anything. You're not eating, dieting, talking, ingesting, exercising, walking, smoking, running, purging, cleansing, detoxing. You're just listening. And I think I keep bringing that up on these episodes because it's so, fascinating and remarkable to me that you can press play on something that can impact you so profoundly. And again, I'm doing this season because of the impact it's had on me. But I bring in other people's experiences to deepen this experience of sharing what these tools are like. I can talk about it all I want, but it's really interesting to hear other people's experiences with these tools because they're all different and yet they all are doing something. These people are relaying their feelings, their experiences, their changes, their transformations because of pressing play and listening to something, for the most part, unless they're using one of the tools like the discs and the pendant and other things that we've talked about this season. So I guess for me, it's just still a mind-blowing experience that so much can change because of pressing play on something. So Astro Repair is amazing. It's the gift that keeps on giving, that we don't even know the wonderful healings and processes it's doing on us, all of them, but you can listen to the talk and learn more about it at that point. I'm going to leave it there for today. If you are interested in looking into these tools or finding out more, you can visit globalcma.org. These Angelic Reformation tools are available to anyone interested. If this is calling to you, there's probably a reason for that. There's probably something it can help you with and will help you with. If you feel called to leave a positive review for the podcast, please do. You can leave a 5-star review with a positive word or two on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever you listen to the episodes. It does help the episode reach the people who do need to hear it, so thank you for considering that. As always, thank you so much for listening. I hope that your 2026 is off to a wonderful start. Stay positive, stay safe, and stay meta.
The Let's Get Metaphysical podcast is an Up, and Awaken production and is produced and hosted by Renata Maniaci. Our intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by sharing, validating, and normalizing spiritual and metaphysical experiences. The Let's Get Meta podcast is inspired by angels and supported by angels. If you would like to be a patron angel of the podcast, visit patreon.com/letsgetmeta. Thank you for listening. Stay meta.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.